Bink, bink, doom, ba doom. Take a doom, kapow, kapow. I take a down, down, down. But a bow, but a bound, bound, bow. But a bound, bound, bow. But a bound, bound, bow. Burp, burp. Rising up, back from the dead. Ascending into heaven. They put me in a cave, but 3 days later I rose up and I came back to life. It's the Son of God, it's the Jesus Christ, rising up from the death that he suffered, and his last known survival on the nail and the cross, and the Romans will always kill him. Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. Ba-da-boom. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Salmon of knowledge, just a salmon of knowledge, just a salmon of knowledge, just a salmon of knowledge, salmon of knowledge, salmon of knowledge podcast. It's the Son of God, it's the Jesus Christ, rising up from the challenge of being crucified. And he dies for 3 days, and then he comes back to life, and he ascends into the heavens. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Hey, Salmon Skins, welcome to another episode of Are You There, God? It's me, Ed. Yes, hello. Oh, yeah, there you are. I didn't think you were actually real. I mean, I never actually tried to go to call you out. Not to call you out, not to, pull you up on your shit, God. I mean, I wouldn't dream of doing that, even though there is a lot of questionable shit around at the moment. Oh, really? What's the questionable stuff? You sound very like me. Well, I made you in my image, so I should sound like you. Oh, right. Yes, sure. You sound like me because, yeah, you obviously. So do you look like me? To you, I look like you. Right. Is it like the Mirror of Erised? I don't get the reference. Yeah, it's a kind of, wait, I thought you were omnipotent. Yes, I am. It's a reference to Harry Potter. It's in Harry Potter. Well, I don't read those anymore. You don't read them anymore, as in you read them. Yes, but I've forgotten them because of the things that J.K. Rowling said. Yes, I don't agree with her stance on certain topics. Magical topics? No. Controversial topics. But you're not going to go into it now? No, I'm not going to go into it now. All right, God. Well, I hope you're doing okay. I mean, you're probably doing better than most people. You're not on Earth. Yes, that's true. I mean, have you had a look at what's going on at the moment? No, I don't actually read the news these days. It just tends to anger and frustrate me. Yeah, I mean, I can see your point. It's frustrating. It's very odd to, who do you follow on Twitter? Oh, just the usuals, Limmy, Am I the Asshole? All those ones. So, did you get in contact with me because you were listening to my Eye of the Tiger parody? Yes, I didn't enjoy it. Right, yeah. Technically, it's not really blasphemy. I'm just, I'm singing about what happened to Jesus to the tune of Eye of the Tiger from Rocky. Yeah, that's not really what I didn't like about it. Okay, all right, so you're not offended by... Yeah, I'm not offended. I'm God. I don't really get easily offended. It takes a lot to offend me. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, you have done a lot of stuff that would be kind of questionable, I suppose. Yeah, I flooded the entire world because everyone was bad. Yeah, I remember that. And you just, you saved Noah and his family. And a lot of animals. Yeah, well, I got on with Noah and his family. Yeah, so they were the only family on the planet at the time that you kind of vibed with? Yeah, pretty much. As God, would it not have been easier to just sort of destroy everything and start again? Because, you put a lot of pressure on Noah to build that boat, to collect all those animals, to stay at sea and survive, and then, begin again. I mean, could you not just have wiped everything out with your imagination, or, got whatever your version of the Infinity Gauntlet is, the God Glove? Yeah, it's actually a mitten. All right, the God Mittens. Yeah, just use those, do the old click and everything's wiped out, and then do another click with the mittens and everything's back again. And you could sort out some of the gaps in design. Gaps in design, what are you talking about? Well, I mean, I don't want to overly criticize you too much. Yeah, that's fair enough. I would be wary about overly criticizing me. Is that a threat, God? No. Just a warning. A warning. Yeah, just a friendly warning. Is it friendly, though? I mean, I'm giving you a warning. If it wasn't friendly, you probably wouldn't get a warning. Yeah, okay, well, yeah, that's fair enough. So do you want to tell me what's wrong with my creations? Well, now I don't. Why not? 'Cause I'm scared. Don't be scared. I'm only God. Yeah, I mean, like... Right, okay, Duck Billed Platypuses. What's wrong with them? Well, I mean, did you have a lot of duck bills lying around spare, like a bag of them? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Okay, and so you had like a surplus of duck bills, and you had a whole barrel of platypi. Yes. Okay, but the thing about it is, it's just weird that they don't have nipples. That's the weirdest thing about Duck Billed Platypuses. I thought it was platypi. Yeah, sorry, platypi. I'm not infallible, I'm just God. Right, so you had like loads of extra duck bills, but you used up all the nipples because they don't have nipples. That's the weird thing about them. They're, it's good. It's a good pub quiz question. What is pub quiz? You don't know what a pub quiz is? No, of course I do. I'm only joking. I'm God. I know everything. You'd be great to have it on a pub quiz team. Oh, for sure, yeah. It's a great question to have on a pub quiz. Like, what's the only mammal that doesn't have nipples? That's about it. It's a bit weird. I mean, what happened with the nipples? Well, you see, I'd used up all the nipples by putting them on men. Yeah, and they don't really function on men. Well, I mean, they're sensitive. They have feelings. Yeah, they've got nerve endings, if that's what you mean by feelings. Yeah, feelings, nerve endings, whatever. 6 of one, half dozen of the other, which is a phrase I invented because I'm God. Yeah, so, I mean, it would be weird if men had nipples that didn't have any feelings, like just walking around with dead nipples. They'd be twice as useless, whereas right now they're only just useless. Yeah, Ed, I think you've got to let the old Duck Billed Playtpi thing go. I could complain about cancer. I mean, why? Because it's shit and it doesn't make any sense. Well, that's just the mystery of God. Yeah, but you're God. Yeah, and I'm mysterious. Right. Yeah, you've got this weird aura about you, which is, understandable. But I don't know, I didn't expect you to be so obtuse. Obtuse? What do you mean? Are you suggesting I'm like the warden in The Shawshank Redemption? Oh, you've seen that movie? Yeah, I love it. You love The Shawshank Redemption. I love all Stephen King stuff. What, even it? Yeah, it's funny. You find horror funny. Yeah, because, it's so pathetic. It's like Star Wars. You find Star Wars funny. Yeah, just a very simplified good and evil fight where, there's good and evil in everyone. Even me. Even you, God. Even me, God. Well, look, God, it's been nice and unexpected to hear from you, but I gotta go now. Why? What are you up to? Oh, I'm doing a podcast. You have a podcast? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Look, hey, there's loads of them. You should start a podcast. The Word of God, God's hot takes. No, I don't think I'll be doing that. No one wants to hear straight white entities' hot takes on shit. I don't know. Well, look, think about it and see. I know, like, I've got another podcast called Reviewables. If you want to come on that and just review shit. No, I don't think I'll be doing that. Okay, well, thanks very much for dropping by. Oh no, I didn't drop by. I'm omnipotent. I'm everywhere, at once, all the time. Everywhere? Yes. I can see you at all times. Okay, that's kind of creepy. Well, I guess I won't see you around. I guess I'll say you'll see me around. Yes, I will, Ed. Goodbye. 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 Okay, there he goes. There goes God. So what's happening, guys? What's happening is, I'll tell you what's been happening the last couple of days. Myself and my lovely wife-to-be, Cara, have been in direct competition with each other. She's quite competitive. I say that I'm not competitive, and really I'm not. I don't really care about winning, except when it's something like Cards Against Humanity, which I don't know if you've ever played Cards Against Humanity, but you get a series of statements, and there's blanks, and then you get a number of cards with words or phrases on them, and you have to fill in the blanks and create a sentence that's hilarious. And I get very competitive when I'm playing Cards Against Humanity because as a professional comedian, I feel the pressure of being hilarious, and also I feel like everyone else expects me to do the funniest thing or say the funniest thing. But you know what? It doesn't always work out like that. That's me ripping my book from the table. But myself and Cara are in a competition with our Fitbits. I have a very basic Fitbit. It does track my steps and my sleep, and it does this nice thing where, on the hour, like I used to have a Samsung version of a Fitbit, which was maybe 20 or 30 euros cheaper than the one I have now. And that used to just tell me when I was being lazy or when I hadn't moved for an hour, which I think is a good thing. A lot of people look on that as being shamed or being bullied into exercising. And it's like, oh, look, my watch is calling me a lazy fucking bastard. And it's not. You're just overreacting. It's cold technology that doesn't have any feelings. It's not a learning computer on your wrist. It's not Arnold Schwarzenegger, the T-800 from Terminator 2. Judgment Day. It doesn't learn to be more human or be sassy or sassio. It's just basically telling you that you haven't moved in an hour. So I actually appreciate that, because sometimes I'd be sitting at a laptop editing this very podcast, and after an hour I'd say, you haven't moved in an hour. So I get up and I, walk around, or I, walk to the toilet and have a sit-down wee, which is the laziest way to go to the toilet. And then I walk back again. But I'm like stretching my legs. I take, 5 minutes. I'm not looking at the screen. So I think it's kind of healthy. But my Fitbit doesn't do that. But it does encourage me to, like at 10 minutes to the hour, it'll say another 250 steps, and you'll have made the quota for this hour. Because I have my daily walk count. I have my daily step count at 10,000 steps, which is the kind of average. Although a lot of people have it around 12,000 steps, I just simply leave it at 10. If I get 12, so be it. But I've also joined the community. Cara is friends with people on Fitbit. You can connect, and then you can see everyone's steps. And I was number one in her group of friends. It's just me and her, because I have friends that have Fitbits, but some of my friends I know walk an awful lot more than me, and I'll always be in second or third place. But with myself and Cara, we're very, very close. Like last night, she was about 200 or so steps ahead of me. And then today, instead of getting a bicycle, a Dublin bike to the studio, I walked to the studio just to get my steps up. It's a kind of a friendly rivalry between lovers. But I keep checking the Fitbit app and looking at the steps to see if I've overtaken her now. I think I'm about 900 steps behind at this stage. And I'm like, it's like a sort of a local election results that I'm like constantly going back and checking to see if Eugene has beaten Francis in the local hotly contested seat. And it's, you know, it's like that, only more boring because it's steps. It actually informed me the other day that I've done the same amount. Since I've got it, I've walked like 70 miles, and that's the same amount that the penguins march. In March, the penguins walk 70 miles to their breeding grounds, which is kind of insane. And you think one of the penguins would have went, hey guys, why don't we breed, you know, like 2 miles off the coast, so we don't have to walk all of this way in really, I've got to say, bitterly cold weather. It's bloody Arctic out, as they would say, but in this case, it's true, unless I've confused where the penguins live. So I was like, all right, I've walked the same amount as a penguin. And I was thinking, is that really an achievement? It's like saying you've slept as much as a sloth, or you've drunk as much water as an elephant. It's kind of like, it's weird to compare your exercise with animals because, you know, penguins aren't in it for the exercise. It's their life, and it's harsh as well. Like, I mean, like me walking around for a week and walking 70 miles is a lot different to penguins kind of waddling for 70 miles in, you know, minus 30 degree weather just to sit on their eggs. You know, it's not really comparable. I have it much easier than a penguin, as far as I can tell. Now, enough about that. There'll be more on that because I'm back in the zoo this week, so I'll give you some zoo news once I come back from the zoo. But what I was asked to do this week, I was asked to review a Netflix show that is out this week. It was released on Wednesday, and it is called Unwell, brackets Unwell, and it's about the wellness industry. So I occasionally contribute to the Jennifer Zamparelli show on 2FM. Now, I tried to watch one of these shows before. Well, in fairness, the Gwyneth Paltrow Goop or Gloop or Zoop or Poop or whatever the fuck it's called is awful. Now, I'm not saying that Gwyneth Paltrow is awful. I'm sure she's a lovely woman. I just don't care for her health guru status that she suddenly has now. But her show is basically about her lending her name to a show, appearing at the start of it, and sending her lackeys off to experience ayahuasca or have acupuncture or whatever, and then come back and tell her about it. So she doesn't really do anything in that show. She just kind of appears in it to sort of chat to people that we're supposed to believe are her friends, but they've just been hired for the show. It's like when you see Nigella Lawson cooking something in what we assume is her house, and then at the end, all her friends, or what we assume are her friends, that probably came out of central casting, are all sitting eating her, you know, bulgur wheat salad, going, Moorish, or whatever. But this show, Unwell, kind of explores individual cases and talks to practitioners, talks to scientists, and the people who are availing of these wellness treatments, such as Tantra, which, as we all know, if you ask anyone what Tantric meditation is, well, let's say Tantric sex. It's associated with sex, and it is about getting in touch with your sexual chakras. Essentially what it is it's trying to achieve a full body orgasm. because they describe an orgasm as a buildup of pressure in your stomach and obviously your groin, but your groin kind of stomach area, and it's trying to spread that orgasmic feeling around your entire body. Like making your whole body ring like a big sexy bell. But I was kind of, while I was watching the episode, all of a sudden this American man comes in who is the focus of the episode. He's partly the focus of the episode, where he is with his partner, and he is someone who doesn't have a lot of self-love, and he's a big guy, but he's not like, he's big, but he's not morbidly kind of obese. I guess technically he would be, but he's not like massive. He's not like I can't get out of my house kind of big. But it was sort of disturbing because he pretty much looks like me. Now, I have a problem with people who say I look like X, Y, and Z. Because my beard has been growing quite long, I occasionally put pictures of myself on Instagram and stories and whatever, and people have commented, well, you look like Zeus now, which I like. I kind of prefer that to Santa Claus, because it's gone from people mumbling Santa Claus under their breath at me to straight up walking up to me and pointing at my face and beard going, Santa Claus, as if, they found me out, or, they're solving a murder in the North Pole and I'm being accused. But, this man has quite a long beard, longer than my beard. But more than that, his head, the shape of his head, even the creases, he's got a bald head and long beard, but he's got a similar kind of nose, similar, like the creases in his forehead are in the same places as in my forehead. And profile, when you look at him in profile, he looks even more like me. So I was kind of watching a sort of maybe 15 years older version, well, maybe not even 15, maybe 10 years older version of myself, lying topless on a bed, being sort of tantrically massaged by a woman, and like venting out all these noises and crying. And it was weird. I was like, is this me? Will this happen to me? And it's about releasing emotion. And I think that's a good thing. I think, you gotta, look, I've had struggles throughout this whole lockdown. I've had moments and days where I'm like, you just gotta vent. You just gotta get it out and get all whatever frustrations you're feeling or whatever kind of sadness that you're feeling. And I've had days where, like, back in the apartment, it's nice being in the studio now, because I found myself having to get up at 7 a.m. because it was the quietest time in the Liberties in the centre of Dublin. And not just people I'm talking about. It's like the seagulls are immensely loud, and not just during the day, at all times. Like at night you can hear seagulls squawking, and sometimes they sound like Ewoks, sometimes they sound like a bunch of cats having an orgy. And if you've ever heard two cats fucking, then you can imagine what a plethora of cats fornicating would sound like. It's a cacophony of just really disturbing noises. But there's a lot of people around, there's a lot of rubbish around, there's a lot of opportunities for seagulls to eat food. There's lots of videos online of seagulls slowly walking into cafes and coffee shops and then just grabbing a bag of crisps and running out the door. And look, they're opportunists, and if they see an opportunity for food, they'll take it. A lot of people are like, seagulls are bastards. For me, I don't see it that way. I mean, look, yeah, I'd much prefer if we were surrounded by bluebirds or chaffinches or, tits of any variety. I love a tit because they have a much nicer song than the seagulls, and they're smaller and not as intimidating. But I don't view seagulls as like bastards who are, there's a popular narrative of seagulls being bastards. And I'm like, look, the only reason there's so many seagulls is that, look, they're birds, they're smart, they're taking their opportunities that we are presenting them because we are humans and we have a lot of waste and they're capitalizing on that. But don't project human emotions onto animals because they don't have the same emotions that we do. I'm very wary of anthropomorphizing animals because, quite frankly, it's a big word with a lot of syllables that you can just fall over when you're trying to say it on a podcast. But, I think it does a disservice to the animals. It's kind of like, in the zoo, when people, are looking at I suppose with the apes, it kind of makes sense because they are so like us and they are related to us. But other animals and, people are like, look at the baby. And they're like, oh, they're so cute and cute. Like, yeah, but, it's like animals aren't cuddly toys, or they're not there just to be aesthetically admired. Like, for me, I like the weird things that animals do. I like the fact that there's such a weird variety and that we have animals like Duck Billed Platypuses that I was talking to God about who don't have nipples. I think that's interesting that they secrete milk from their skin. They basically sweat milk. And it's weird and it's unusual, but hey, it's nature. So, yeah, my number one thing in the Unwell series to do would be the Tantric episode, for sure. And not just because my weird older doppelganger was on it. And I think the thing I would least like to do out of all of them, like there's bee sting therapy, which is basically letting bees sting you in various acupuncture points, back of the neck, spine, elbows, knees, to relieve supposedly arthritis on the kind of lower end of the scale, and then on the higher end of the scale, Lyme disease, which there's a couple of people in it who one girl who has Lyme disease who is trying it out for the first time, and a woman who spent 2 years and like $160,000 on different forms of medication to try and treat her Lyme disease, and nothing worked. And then she turned to bee sting therapy, and it worked for her. But even she says it's not a miracle treatment. One of the funniest things I found about it is that sometimes the treatments or the like with the essential oils, sometimes the benefits and what it can do sort of vary quite widely. The benefits of frankincense are outlined in that it can help. See, this is the thing, it can help. Not it can cure, but it can help. Well, some people just claim, it's a straight up cure. Frankincense cures cancer, cuts and scrapes, or emotional issues. And in the list of things that it can help with, that's a pretty big drop off. Cancer, which is a pretty serious disease, attacking the cells in your body and various organs and whatever. And then cuts and scrapes, which is not as serious as cancer. And then emotional issues, which is just kind of a wishy-washy statement. I don't know. But the breast milk, they claim that breast milk helps. And look, that breast milk has got all these, wonderful properties in it, that it's so healthy and good for you. And that's all true if you are a baby. But if you are a fully grown man in your mid-50s and you're pouring breast milk on your cornflakes and calling it mother's milk, then you're a fucking weirdo. But it does sort of explore the cultural viewpoint when it comes to breast milk, in that in Mongolia, breastfeeding and breast milk is a sort of a common thing. There's no shame in it, because a lot of people in the Western world have this weird reaction when it comes to breast milk and breastfeeding, public breastfeeding. There's either there are two reactions. It's either like ugh or and both of those are wrong. It's not a sexy thing, and it's not a disgusting thing. It's a natural thing. We're animals. We drink breast milk from our mothers, like a lot of animals, and that's it. There shouldn't be a fucking debate about it. And in Mongolia, quite rightly, there is no debate. People openly breastfeed, but the issue is that in Mongolia, a lot of people breastfeed up until they're about 8 years old. That's the kind of average. Basically, mothers will breastfeed their kids until the kids don't want to breastfeed anymore. Until they basically go, no, Mum, it's embarrassing. None of my friends are breastfeeding from their mother's breasts. So I don't want to do it because it's embarrassing and I want to be cool. So I'll just have my fermented horse milk. Thank you very much. Because that's what they actually drink in Mongolia. But, you know, and wrestling is their kind of national sport. And they wrestle in these wonderful kind of wicker outfits in the middle of fields. And you have guys who are wrestling who are all like, yeah, we love breast milk. I was drinking it till I was 9 years old, straight from the teat, from the nipple. And then my sister was pregnant and I drank her breast milk. Not straight from the nipple, but it's like, okay, they really love their breast milk. So there's got to be a happy medium. But in America and around the world, people buy breast milk online, which just sounds dodgy. I mean, I kind of balk and am wary of buying a lot of things online. You know, like I buy shoes online because I know the size of my feet. But if you're buying like a t-shirt or a shirt and you have to sort of guess at what the, you know, is this an American size or is this a European size? And you're trying to, you know, measure your chest with a measuring tape, and you're like, I don't know. And like buying breast milk, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not too sure. And scientists in the show bought a selection of breast milks from a selection of online sources. And when they arrived, some of them were leaking in the box. Some of them were like frozen solid. Some of them had quite a large proportion of cow DNA in them. Some were watered down, which is like, you know, you wouldn't do that to breast milk. You shouldn't. You shouldn't do it to whiskey, and you shouldn't do it to breast milk. And then, of course, there are the dangers of passing on infectious diseases through the milk, and, you know, that can happen. Anything up to and including the serious ones like HIV. So I wouldn't, and like there's bodybuilders, that's the thing, American bodybuilders. There's a guy who's trying to get ripped for some reason, narcissism it seems, and he is buying breast milk off a woman who has hyperlactation syndrome, meaning she constantly lactates. I mean, look, I don't know why I had to explain that. I had to explain that, even though the phrase itself is self-explanatory. So she's like pumping breast milk out of herself 4 to 5 hours a day and selling it online, like a little cottage industry. And then she ends up in a weird scene meeting this bodybuilder man in a cafe, and he gives her money and she gives him breast milk. And it's just like a weird drug deal, but out in the open, not in like the desert or a car park. I don't know why they had to go to let's go to a public place in order to make this deal happen. It's bizarre. Anyway, listen, guys, my Fitbit is saying I have 234 steps to go to beat the hour, so I have 10 minutes until the hour, so I'm going to leave it there for now, and I'd like to thank you for listening. If you want to listen to Reviewables, my other podcast that is on the Head Stuff Podcast Network, I have some news coming about my podcast, this podcast that you're listening to now. Well, I'll tell you the news. I'll tell you it right now. I am moving Edwin Salmon of Knowledge to the Head Stuff Podcast Network. So I'll be joining a plethora of great shows on the network. Looking forward to that. It's very exciting. Plus, I have another podcast in the works that will be coming out, I'd say in probably a month's time once I start recording them and getting them all lined up. But that won't be weekly. That will be, I'll do like a season of 6 to 8 episodes, take a break and do another season. But that's going to be a fun sort of movie review type show, which is called The Movie Bucket List. So, guys, thanks so much for listening. Be safe, be happy, be kind, be careful, and be excellent to each other. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye. I won't see you, but I'll hear you soon. Or you hear me in your ears. But if I want to hear you, you'll have to send me an audio message. Bye-bye-bye-bye. See you now. Good luck. Goodbye. Goodbye.